Happy Monday, June 10th, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We have a lot of weather to cover in today's weather forecast, including excessive heat building across the middle of the country into Father's Day weekend, and rounds of severe weather migrating further to the north than we've seen it this year. We'll be diving into the details in today's weather forecast, including also the tropical weather update later on in the video. So if you are new here, we cover southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Leave a like down below if you like today's weather forecast after the video, and also leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll get to those after the video as well. This morning, temperatures were very pleasant across the north central United States here into the low and middle 50s. And a little bit warmer down here to portions of the Gulf Coast for coastal Texas all the way over here toward Georgia and into Florida, where we're waking up to temperatures this morning into the middle and upper 70s. Now, those areas are a little bit drier, so we're going to start to see a lot of those temperatures warming more expeditiously across portions of the Gulf Coast this afternoon. From Florida back here toward the New Orleans region, up to 93 this afternoon, 91 in Houston, and 100 down into Brownsville, Texas, in the Rio Grande Valley this afternoon. But notice the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes in the Northeast, a lot cooler today. That's because that trough we've been seeing is hanging around. And looking at yesterday's active weather, we did have severe weather scattered about the United States here. We had one tornado reported here in southern Colorado, probably more of a land spout, but otherwise we are seeing a lot of wind and hail reports yesterday. We are seeing a chance for more severe weather as we go into your Monday afternoon here and Monday evening, from the western plains into the Rockies, back here into West Texas, and then across the southeast coast, especially there into coastal Georgia and southeastern Georgia. And it's mainly going to be the threat for 60-mile-per-hour winds here, especially in these yellow shaded zones up into the northwestern plains here, like eastern Wyoming, western South Dakota, and into the Nebraska Panhandle, West Texas, and also southeastern portions of Georgia. Could see those wind gusts up to around 60 miles per hour, quarter-size hail in those same areas, and we do have a chance for a tornado up here into portions of Wyoming, western South Dakota, into northwestern portions of Nebraska, also southeastern and coastal Georgia. We have a 2% chance of a tornado as well. Everywhere else is less than 2%. Looking here at the thunderstorm fuel, what's fueling these thunderstorms is the instability here. Near the Gulf Coast, it's the strongest with these oranges and reds showing up. That's around 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram of instability. A little bit less up here into the western plains and into the Rockies, but still enough. You can see those greens and yellows. That's around 1,500 to 2,000 joules per kilogram of instability. So here we go this afternoon. We got scattered coverage of showers and storms, a few of which may be severe across the Rockies, down here into West Texas, and then down here into coastal Georgia, into South Carolina. We'll be watching out for those. 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail, and an isolated tornado threat. A little bit more upscale growth into some of these storms, into a little bit of a line of storms this evening across the Dakotas, down into western Nebraska, and into the Front Range in eastern Colorado. Some supercells developing here in West Texas we'll watch out for this evening. And then as we lose the daytime heating after midnight and after the evening hours are over, we're going to lose the coverage and intensity of those storms as they push a little bit further off to the east for your Tuesday morning commute. As we go into Tuesday, another low-end day for severe weather. We have a marginal risk from southeastern Colorado down here into that northwest flow, into eastern New Mexico, into west central Texas here, and then another area in the upper Mississippi Valley from the Twin Cities down here toward Waterloo, Iowa. And looking at the rainfall amounts over the next couple of days, this goes through the Wednesday morning commute time frame through June 12th. You can see the heaviest rains will be in the Dakotas and into the Panhandle of Nebraska, but also here into Texas as well, where we could be seeing rainfall amounts in these blue shaded colors of around 1 to 2 inches as we go into that Wednesday time frame. Now, going into mid and late week, Wednesday, June 12th through Friday, June 14th, leading up to Father's Day weekend, that heat we're seeing out west is only going to move further east toward the Mississippi River and even further east from there as we go into the late week time frame. So let's look at this as we go into Wednesday. Here are your high temperatures well into the 80s, a couple 90-degree marks here across portions of Omaha, maybe even into the St. Louis area, Kansas City, Wichita. Some of those areas could tag 90 degrees on Wednesday. Wednesday. If not, Thursday will be the best candidate for that, as we're up to 90 there in St. Louis. We're up near 90 at 87 in Des Moines, 85 in Chicago, and 91 there into the Kansas City region on Thursday. And then Friday, you can see that heat building a little further east toward the mid-Atlantic here, even up into the Northeast, 88 on Friday in New York City and 82 in Boston. So it's going to start to heat up even further east as well. So let's look at this. So we have the heat building. We know it's going to be building further to the east, but on the northern periphery of all of that heat, see the blues up here? This is what we call a trough. And on the northern and northeastern quadrant of this ridge as it builds, we're going to see that trough dive from northwest to southeast, from Canada down across the upper Midwest Wednesday into Thursday, and then from Thursday into Friday across the northeast becomes a little bit more diffuse as we get later on in the week. This will bring a round of severe weather on Wednesday across portions of northern Wisconsin, back into south central Minnesota, northern Iowa, back into eastern South Dakota, and northeast Nebraska. Some of that severe weather could actually extend back into northern Kansas as well. You can see we have isolated to scattered storm coverage starting Wednesday afternoon. That will grow upscale into a line of thunderstorms that will produce predominantly damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour and hail. The tornado threat will be a little lower because it's a line of storms. Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening, that will dive southeast through portions of Wisconsin, southern Minnesota, into northern Iowa. It'll start to weaken, though, as it moves closer to the Chicagoland, Milwaukee, Madison, Wisconsin area, and Des Moines, as it starts to outrun the better instability there. And then as we go into Thursday, that complex of storms, that line of storms that we saw on Wednesday, will actually push that frontal boundary a little further south. So the slight risk of severe weather here from Grand Rapids through Chicago, Fort Wayne, Indiana, back here through Peoria, Illinois, into portions of the Davenport Quad Cities area, Omaha, and even as far west here as the Kansas City area, seeing severe weather potential on Thursday. You can see we see scattered thunderstorms develop Thursday afternoon. We see another mesoscale convective system. It's a line of storms here from the Kansas City region eastward toward Chicago. A little bit more scattered activity further east toward Lake Erie, but we still can see a couple stronger storms over there as well into northern Ohio and toward Detroit. We'll keep a very close eye on that for Thursday evening. So far for Friday, no outlooked areas from the Storm Prediction Center for severe weather, but you can see more storms developing with another trough developing across portions of the Rockies into the western plains here. This could develop more strong supercells across Nebraska, South Dakota, western Iowa, and all the way back through portions of the Rockies into Colorado and New Mexico into Friday evening. As we go into Father's Day weekend, Saturday, June 15th, into Father's Day Sunday, June 16th, that heat is going to be building further east. There's the center of that ridge across the southeast. We have a trough moving in across the Pacific Northwest. So while we are hot early on this week, we'll start to cool down across the Pacific Northwest as we go into the Father's Day weekend time frame. So a nice cool down there for Seattle, Portland, over here toward Boise, Idaho, and then further east, we're going to see a lot of heat building across the Mississippi River Valley, the Ohio Valley, especially down here with the center of that ridge across the southeast. So let's look at those temperatures on Saturday, June 15th. A lot of 90s, and yes, we could be closing in on the triple-digit point there in Atlanta, Georgia, Macon, Georgia, even down here into the Tallahassee region in Florida as we go into Saturday. Sunday, the heat builds a little further north, so the Chicagoland area all the way up to Twin Cities and to Minneapolis, St. Paul could be up to near 90 as we go into Sunday. Factor in the humidity. The heat index values will be a little bit higher than this as we go into that Sunday, Father's Day time frame. Now we also have to look at precipitation here. Very tricky forecast, kind of a summer-like forecast here for the Father's Day weekend time frame. So on Saturday, June 15th, we're going to have a new low pressure system. That's all the way back here in Colorado on Friday. We showed you those storms on Friday. That's going to kick out across the plains as we go into Saturday, and that could lead to more storms on the northern periphery of all that heat. We'll have to watch for Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, into Wisconsin on Saturday. Then as we go into Father's Day Sunday, that may shift a little further north up toward Lake Superior, and then more storms back here in the plains as the heat just builds across the eastern United States. You can see where the active weather will be Saturday the 15th and Father's Day Sunday the 16th, that weekend across the upper Midwest, but then stretching back into the northern and central plains here and even to the Texas Panhandle. And then tropical moisture down here near the Gulf Coast. We're going to be watching Florida, south central Florida here, the Naples, Fort Myers, Key West areas into Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Daytona Beach. A lot of these areas could be inundated with over a foot of rain, and possibly here closing in on 15 inches locally in a couple areas between now and next Monday on June 17th. So some significant flooding will be possible in southern Florida. I know it's dry down there, but a lot of rainfall in a short amount of time could lead to some significant flooding and runoff from that flooding in some areas. Looking at the National Hurricane Center's tropical weather outlook for the next 7 days, still great news. No tropical cyclones expected across the North Atlantic Basin during that time frame. Same thing can be said, not really expecting anything in the Eastern Pacific Basin either. So things look a-okay on the tropics right now. We'll keep you updated on that as we go deeper into the hurricane season. Thank you all for watching. If you like today's weather forecast, consider leaving a like down below, the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel as we do cover southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics here. We'll have another video tomorrow and throughout the week as well. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those after the video, and I hope everyone has a wonderful start to their work week out there.